Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalam ala Sayyidina Muhammadan wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Alhamdulillah that He allows us to engage in this sunnah, in this act of rejoicing upon the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And if you think about the companions and their relationship with the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you'll see that relationship of farah, of rejoicing, of happiness, and of celebrating the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And this is what we come together to remember these meanings. And where else do you find this? Where else do you find people coming together and expressing and sharing and participating in that joy of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? And the reality is that the joy that we show for the Prophet ﷺ is unparalleled. There's nothing like it. Because if we come to the Prophet ﷺ with the little that we have, he comes to us with the generosity that he has. And we cannot fully comprehend the degree and the amount of that generosity. And in that light, there's an amazing report that if you just think about this one narration, is just incredible. And this is found in Sahih Bukhari, but as a caveat, it's not a hadith in Sahih Bukhari, but it's one of the headings of Sahih Bukhari, and there's a difference in the strength of the headings. They're not as rigorous as the hadith that Imam al-Bukhari puts in his book. But when the Thuwaibah, who was the wet nurse of the Prophet ﷺ when he was born, when she's mentioned in one of the hadith, Imam al-Bukhari talks about who she was. So she's Thuwaibah, and she's the wet nurse of the Prophet ﷺ upon his birth. And Imam al-Bukhari says that Abu Lahab, the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, when he received the news that the Prophet ﷺ was born, his brother's son, he rejoiced. And he showed happiness, and as an expression for that happiness, he freed Thuwaibah. He freed Thuwaibah. And Imam al-Bukhari, in this heading, he goes on to mention, he says that لَمَّا مَاتَ أَبُو لَهَبْ أُرِيَهُ بَعْدُ أَهْلِهِ بِشَرِّ حِيبَةٍ أي بِسُوءِ حَالٍ. After he passed, that some of his family saw him in a dream vision in the worst of states. Of course, Abu Lahab, his condemnation and damnation is in the Quran. Tabbat yada Abi Lahab is in the Quran, Nasr al-Quran. So the person that saw him in this state, they said, "Mada laqita?" Is that what did you find? What did you experience? And then Abu Lahab said, "Lam alqa ba'dakum ghayra anni." He says that I haven't found after you anything other than suqitu fi hadhihi bi'ataqati Thuwaibah. He says that he has a little bit of relief because of that joy that he expressed when the Prophet ﷺ was born, that he freed Thuwaibah. And in another rendition of this, it's mentioned that Abbas is the one that saw this dream. And he said that لما مات أبو لهب رأيته في منامي بعد حول. After Abu Lahab passed away, I saw him in my dream after a year, في شر حال, in the worst of states. And then he said, فقال ما لقيت بعدكم راحة. And Abu Lahab says that I haven't found any repose or any rest after my passing. إلا أن العذاب يخفف عني كل يوم الاثنين. Except that the punishment in the grave is lightened for me on every day, every Monday. Because of what? Because of his rejoicing and his happiness and the gratitude that he showed when the Prophet ﷺ was born. So look at the meaning there. This is a kafir bin nass al-Quran, right? In all unequivocally damned and condemned. But according to these narrations, that because of that joy, that happiness that he showed for the Prophet ﷺ, he received some benefit, some relief because of that joy of the Prophet ﷺ. And that's why some of them, they said that إِذَا كَانَ هَذَا كَافِرًا جَاءَ ذَمُّهُ وَتَبَّتْ يَدَاهُ فِي الْجَحِيمِ مُخَلَّدًا. If this is a kafir, that his condemnation has come in tabat yada, and he is eternally in the fire. أَتَى أَنَّهُ فِي يَوْمِ الْإِثْنَيْنِ دَائِمًا يُخَفِّفُ عَنْهُ لِلسُّرُورِ بِأَحْمَدَ. It has come that on Mondays, every Monday, is that because of the happiness that he showed for the Prophet ﷺ, he finds a little bit of relief. فَمَا ظَنُّ بِالْعَبْدِ الَّذِي طُولُ عُمْرُهُ. So what do you think about the servant who spends a long lifetime بِأَحْمَدَ مَسْرُورًا وَمَاتَ مُوَحَّدًا, that he spends his whole life rejoicing and showing happiness for Ahmad, for the Prophet, and he dies with Tawheed. So what's your opinion of that person? So this is what we try to connect to, that we want to feel those emotions and feel those beautiful breezes of farah for the Prophet ﷺ, and masroor and happiness for the Prophet ﷺ, and coming closer to the Prophet ﷺ. We make this a means to Allah. Those people that they feel empty, if they just had a little iota, a little bit of farah, right? This is the true happiness, because this is the happiness that lasts, and that is lasting and permanent. So we come together to rejoice in this blessing. Wa akhir da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.